In the depths of Greek memory lives the story of one of the most terrible curses that plagued ancient Athens. King Minos of Crete, following the death of his son Androgeos on Athenian soil, imposed a bloody tribute. Every 9 years, 14 young Athenians, 7 maidens, and 7 young men had to be sent to the Labyrinth of Crete to be devoured by the Minotaur, a beast born from the unnatural union between Pasiphae, Minos' wife, and a white bull sent by Poseidon. This beast was no ordinary monster. It was born from divine punishment when Poseidon made Minos' wife, Pasiphae, fall in love with a beautiful white bull. From this union came the Minotaur, half man and half bull, a creature that fed only on human flesh. To keep the beast imprisoned, Minos ordered the inventor Daedalus to build a labyrinth so complex that whoever entered would never find their way out. There lived the Minotaur, and there the young Athenians met their doom, lost in the dark corridors before being found by the monster. Twice the black ships had sailed, carrying young people to their deaths. When the time for the third tribute came, a young prince named Theseus decided enough was enough, and although he had barely turned 20, he was already known for his bravery. One morning, Theseus presented himself before his father, King Aegeus. "Father," he said firmly, "we cannot continue allowing our young people to die like this. I will go myself as part of the tribute and kill the Minotaur." Aegeus, an elderly man with gray hair and worry lines, rose from his throne. "No, son. It's certain death. No one has ever returned from the labyrinth." "That's exactly why I must go," Theseus replied. "If I don't try, how many more will die? I cannot stand idle while our people suffer." After much argument, Aegeus understood he could not change his son's mind. The night before departure, they made a pact. "If you return alive," said Aegeus, "let your ship raise white sails. If you die," his voice trembled, "let black sails tell me I have lost my only son." The journey to Crete was long and sorrowful. The other 13 young people wept at their fate, but Theseus spent the hours planning how he would face the Minotaur. Upon arriving at Minos' palace, something unexpected happened. Ariadne, King Minos' daughter, saw Theseus and was impressed by his courage. That night, she snuck to where the prisoners were held. "I want to help you," she whispered to Theseus. "I cannot bear to see more deaths." "Why should I trust you?" Theseus asked cautiously. "Because I know how you can survive the labyrinth." Ariadne gave him a ball of golden thread and a gleaming sword. "Tie this thread at the entrance. It will guide you back. And this sword, it can kill even a monster like the Minotaur." "If I survive," Theseus promised, "I'll take you with me to Athens." At dawn the next day, the guards led Theseus to the labyrinth's entrance. The walls were so high the sky couldn't be seen, made of polished black stone. He tied the thread as Ariadne had instructed and entered. The labyrinth was worse than he had imagined. The corridors seemed to move and change. Sometimes he thought he heard footsteps behind him, but when he turned, there was no one. The air reeked of death and decay. After what seemed like an eternity of walking, he heard a sound that froze his blood. A deep, furious bellow that made the walls tremble. The Minotaur was near. Theseus gripped the sword and advanced carefully. Turning a corner, he finally saw it. It was a nightmare vision, taller than two men, with powerful muscles covered in black hair, hooves that left marks on the ground, and a bull's head with horns as sharp as swords. Its red eyes glowed with hunger and fury. The monster smelled him before seeing him. When their eyes met, the Minotaur let out a roar that shook the entire labyrinth and charged at Theseus. The prince rolled to the side just in time. The Minotaur's horns struck the wall where he had been a second before, tearing chunks of stone as if it were clay. "Come for me, beast!" Theseus shouted. The battle that followed was brutal. The Minotaur attacked with incredible force, each blow capable of destroying a man. Theseus dodged and struck when he could, but it was like fighting a storm. Sweat soaked Theseus, his arms tired from wielding the sword. He managed to make several cuts on the monster, but nothing seemed able to stop it. The beast bled from dozens of wounds, but continued attacking with the same fury. In a terrible moment, Theseus stumbled on a stone. The Minotaur took advantage and charged, one of its horns piercing the prince's shoulder. The pain was intense, but Theseus didn't drop the sword. "For Athens!" he shouted, and using the pain as fuel, he drove the sword into the Minotaur's chest with all his might. The magical blade pierced the beast's heart. The Minotaur staggered backward, its eyes showing surprise for the first time. It tried to roar, but only blood came from its mouth. Finally, the beast fell. Theseus could barely stand. His shoulder was bleeding, and his whole body was injured, but he was alive. Following the golden thread, he found his way back. The other young people couldn't believe their eyes when Theseus emerged from the labyrinth, wounded but victorious. Ariadne ran to help him. "You did it!" she exclaimed while bandaging his wounds. "We must leave before my father finds out." That same night, they stole a ship and sailed from Crete. Ariadne went with them, Theseus keeping his promise. But the gods had other plans. On the island of Naxos, where they stopped to rest, the god Dionysus appeared to Theseus in a dream. He ordered him to leave Ariadne, as the gods had chosen her as a bride for the god of wine. With a heavy heart, Theseus obeyed. He left Ariadne sleeping on the beach and departed before dawn. The pain of this decision distracted him so much that he forgot to change the black sails to white ones. When King Aegeus saw the ship returning with black sails, he believed his son had died. Consumed by grief, he threw himself from a cliff into the sea, which since then has been called the Aegean Sea. Theseus became king of Athens, but the price of his victory was high. He had freed his people from the terrible tribute, but lost his father and Ariadne. During his reign, he turned Athens into a great and powerful city, established just laws, and protected the weak. Years passed, and Theseus lived many more adventures. He fought against Amazons, hunted monsters, and even traveled to the underworld. But no feat was as important as that victory in the labyrinth, when a young prince faced his fears and changed his people's destiny. His story became legend, told again and again on nights around the fire. Parents used it to teach their children that even the most terrible monsters can be defeated with courage, intelligence, and determination. And although with the passage of centuries, many would doubt the real existence of the Minotaur and the labyrinth, the message of the story endured. Sometimes, to save others, we must be willing to face our own monsters, no matter how frightening they may be. There seems to be a misunderstanding. I don't see any video in our conversation. We were working with a text about the myth of Theseus and the Minotaur. However, I can help you write a thank you note in English for watching a video. Here's a natural way to express that. Thank you for sharing this video with me. I really enjoyed watching it and found it very interesting. I appreciate you taking the time to show it to me. Would you like me to help you write a different kind of thank you message? Or would you like to share the video content you'd like to discuss?